Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So today also we yes.
I had a question on yesterday's. Sorry. Yesterday's Sutta doesn't talk about Sankhara. Avidya talks about on not painful, not pleasant. That even those are not self. But in the way we have defined causation here, how does Avidya connect to Sankhara, connect to Namarupa? The rest of the flow, I think, is pretty logical.
Correct.
The first three.
So it is considered that ignorance is the start of everything, but ignorance also has certain basis. So there is also something it is also dependently originated. So that also there is one sutta which is the ignorance sutta, where the Buddha is saying what are the reason for the ignorance. When we have time, we will I'll go through that also. So that is there, but when there is ignorance, then there is a possibility of all these actions with body, speech, and mind, which are the sankharas. And based on that, there are all that which is consciousness, which is possible. And based on that, there is mentality, materiality, which is possible. So this is giving kind of a background, or what are the things which are already under the wheel. Wheel has already functioning before we come into existence, which is the sixth sense basis. When a being gets there is six sense basis which is there. Because mentality, materiality is there. Based on that, there is a mind and body. When there is mind and body, there is a six sense basis. And there is six sense basis, there is contact. So there are.
From there on, I understand. But the part I'm not able to understand is the Avidya and Sankhara, and then consciousness also, I think I understand.
Namarupa is the mind and the body. So it is like there are two functionals things which are there. Like the body is.
Body, there will be the six sense doors, and hence contact is possible.
Correct.
Here is mind. Ours consciousness is also okay. Ignorance and formation.
Ignorance, as I said, through ignorance there are all actions which are there, body, speech, and mind. Sankara says what? The actions by the body, actions of speech, actions of mind. So when karmic, as Hugh was kind of explaining, that once there is a arahant, then all their actions is not considered karmic, but they are considered to be kriyas. Yes.
So you're saying that if you are not ignorant, you will not create sankhara.
Yes.
So that's like forward looking, but past sankharas are still
functional. Yes.
I was just going to say, if one says, this is me, this is mine, this is myself, is that fair to call that a mental action? So that's how they fit in, or one way they fit in.
This is me, this is myself?
Yeah. Are those considered to be mental action?
Yes.
That would be the ignorance.
Yeah, not knowing all these things, not knowing the four noble truths, not knowing the three characteristics, and not knowing the dependent origination. So, dependent origination can also be seen in the light of four noble truths. Now, four noble truths in the sense there is ignorance, there is a reason for the ignorance, there is a cessation of the ignorance, and there is a path leading to the cessation of ignorance. Or you can take any of the 12 links and put it in the this thing. You can put it in the three characteristics also. Ignorance is impermanent, because there is a ignorance which is there, but if you gain a wisdom, then ignorance gets destroyed. you can say that ignorance creates dukkha, because it creates all the resistance. You can say ignorance is impersonal, because of causation condition, ignorance arises. As the causation condition goes, ignorance goes away. As knowledge and vision arise. So this can be seen as, any rings can also be seen as in the three characteristics. So dependent origination, the four noble truths, and three characteristics are also linked in that sense. Okay. Mike, I'll keep it over here. It was working last time because my voice is recorded. This is an interesting sutta today also. It is Majjhima Nikaya 140. This is Dhatu-vibhanga Sutta, the exposition of the elements. So these are many of the things, and this is also there. This is not me, this is not this is not myself, is also there in this sutta. So there is a interesting sutta which is not something which is, but Bhante liked this sutta a lot. He used it in many of the retreats. He had used it. So this is the first time, by the way, I am using this sutta. So let us see how it goes. You are the guinea pigs now.
Can I ask a practice-related question? You had this pointer that your body goes into some shape during meditation. You don't pull it back into shape. You just gets released away from it and
let the energetic reestablish in the shape.
My question is, and you also cannot rush it as you.
That's it. Yeah.
And so, does that mean it can also take like 2 seconds or 2 minutes or 20 minutes?
I would say it would be unusual for it to take more than about 8 or 10 seconds. It's the quality of your patience.
What I had this where I could see that what is gone out of shape, I have that released away from intention. I can see that it's slowly coming back, but I cannot change the speed, and sometimes I feel like it could take a minute or more.
Well, okay, then let it happen like that, because anything more than that is you exerting a preference. Yeah, and just let it return. Yeah. What's more important is the balance you have in that process.
Internally.
Yeah.
Thus have I heard, on one occasion, the Blessed One was wandering in the Magadhan country and eventually arrived at Rajagaha. There he went to a potter, Bhagava, and said to him, "If it is not inconvenient for you, Bhagava, I'll stay one night in your workshop." So the Buddha was traveling alone at this point of time. And sometimes Bhante Vivaramsi used to say that Buddha would do that specifically to kind of go to people who may need his help. So in the morning he would sit in infinite space in the compassion field, and then he would, with compassion, he would see the whole of the world. Then he would see that where people need my help. And in some of the suttas has also mentioned, I mentioned that he went to, I think, Aniruddha. Aniruddha was contemplating something, and then he appeared before Aniruddha and helped him figure something out. So in the same way, Bhante says that Buddha is kind of wandering, and you'll know in the end why he had chose to come to this place. It is not, if it is not convenient, sorry, it is not inconvenient for me, Venerable Sir, but there is a homeless one already staying there. If he agrees, then stay as long as you like, Venerable Sir. So the potter was okay with Buddha staying, but he said, I already given a permission to some other monk. You take his permission and stay, because it would be kind of as he has already given to one of the monks. Now there was a clansman named Pukusati, who had gone forth from the home life into homelessness out of faith in the Blessed One. And on that occasion, he was already staying in the potter's workshop. So Pukusati was out of faith he went. So he had not met the Buddha. And when he had not met the Buddha, he had just heard about the Buddha. So Bhante says that there was a meeting of Pukusati and King Bimbisara. So when there was a meeting, they had some kind of talk about the Buddha. So then when he went back to his kingdom, Bimbisara sent the teachings of the Buddha on a gold plate. So on seeing that on the cold plate, he saw that he has a lot of faith. Seeing the teaching, he kind of the faith grew. So he said, "I'm leaving my kingdom." So he left his kingdom and became a monk on his own, and then he went in search for the Buddha. Then the Blessed One went to the Venerable Pukasati and said to him, "If it is not inconvenient for you, Bhikkhu, I will stay one night in the workshop." So he asks the permission. The potter's workshop is large enough, friend. Let the Venerable One stay as long as he likes. So the friend which was there is the way all the monks in the time of the Buddha, you address one another is as a friend. But later on, the Buddha put a condition that if you are a senior, then you have to address them respectfully. You have to use some respectful, like Bante is there, Tero is there, Mahatero is there. So there are epithets which are given to the as per the seniority. But if you are a junior, then they are addressed differently. So at the time of the Buddha, equal, all were equal. So each other they would kind of refer to as friend. Let the Venerable One stay as long as he likes. Then the Blessed One entered the potter's shed, prepared a spread of grass at one end, and sat down, folding the legs crosswise, setting his body erect and establishing mindfulness in front of him. Then the Blessed One spent most of the night seated in meditation, and the Venerable Pukasati also spent most of the night seated in meditation. This is very important because Pukasati was already having some kind of training in meditation, and he was already doing meditation. So this is important in the end. Then the Blessed One thought, this clansman conducts himself in a way that inspires confidence. Suppose I were to question him. So he asked the Venerable Pukasati. First he saw how he was conducting himself. Then he said, okay, I will give him some teaching. Under whom have you gone forth, student? Who is your teacher? Whose Dhamma do you profess? Friend, there is the recluse Gautama, son of Sakyans, who went forth from a Sakyan clan. Now a good resort of that blessed Gautama has been spread to this effect. This Blessed One is accomplished fully, enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened, blessed. I have gone forth under the Blessed One. That Blessed One is my teacher. I profess the Dhamma of that Blessed One. So he is giving the description of the Buddha, but the Buddha is sitting besides it. But student, where is that Blessed One, accomplished and fully enlightened, now living? There is, friend, a city in the northern country named Savatthi. The Blessed One, accomplished and fully enlightened, is now living there. But student, have you ever seen that Blessed One before? Would you recognize him if you saw him? No, friend, I have never seen the Blessed One before, nor would I recognize him if I saw him. So now you will see that there are many in culturally how the Buddha looks. You will see that when the Buddha image is, I'm looking in a church for a Buddha image. Normally there is always okay. But say if you look at the traditional Buddha image, there will be some pointed one which will be there, or there will be some which are curly hairs are there. Sometimes there are snails are there, and there are certain ways the Buddha is considered to be looking something very different. So over here he is sitting across the Buddha and speaking to him, but he is not able to find. So Buddha just looked like any ordinary person. Ordinary means he was from a kind of a very royal family. So he looked like a person who was from a royal family, but he would look one other instances of a sutta where it is recorded where the Buddha is sitting with his cousins. Okay, so all the cousins will look the same. He is coming from the same family. So somebody comes and says, "Where is the Blessed One?" And then he points out, "Oh, here is the Blessed One who is sitting over here." So then that means that there is a when he's sitting with his cousins, he's looking just like one of the ones. So he has no very distinguishing features. So one of those things which is cultural is that Buddha, some of the culture says Buddha was 12 feet tall. He had wherever he walked, there was a circle which was made, and so all these things are there. But when you look at the actual teachings, then you know that okay, Buddha was maybe looking the same as anybody, any monk would look.
Can I just
Yeah.
There's a nice point coming through in the sutta here that this a monk had heard of the teaching of the Buddha but never met the Buddha. So it just indicates that that there's widespread spreading out of the teaching, and very early on in the days of the Buddha, after his enlightenment, when there were just a few of them, he invited them to go singularly, just to go off in all directions, and just to not to proselytize, but when people inquired, to tell them about the teaching. This is it's a very interesting snapshot of this process, that this teaching was being disseminated. It wasn't just around where the Buddha was.
Then the Blessed One thought, this clansman has gone forth from the home life into homelessness under me. Suppose I were to teach him the Dhamma. So the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Pukusati thus. Student, I will teach you the Dhamma. Listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, friend, the Venerable Pukusati replied. The Blessed One said this. Student, this person consists of 6 elements, 6 bases of contact, and 18 kinds of mental exploration. And he has 4 foundations. The tides of conceiving do not sweep over one who stands upon these foundations. Conceiving means all your thoughts are there, all the concepts which you make, all the kind of I and me and mine, all these things which you are making are all the conceiving. And what happens is when all these thoughts comes, we are kind of swept away with that. Okay, sometimes we go over here, sometimes we go over there, literally kind of go to a foreign country just because we have a concept of that country and then we want to explore it. So we can go all over the place. So that tides of conceiving which are there.
Would that be similar to the Papantaran notions we talked about yesterday?
Correct. Very similar to that. The explanation later also is given. So we'll go into the details. And when the tides of conceiving no longer sweep over him, he is called a sage at peace. One should not neglect wisdom, should preserve truth. So we know wisdom, in terms of the 4 noble truths, the 3 characteristics, the dependent origination, that is the wisdom which is there. Should preserve the truth. So the Buddha is talking about preserving the truth in some other sutta also. So seeing things as they are. Like one of the things, there is a Brahmin who comes and says that, okay, we have this also in our kind of Upanishads or something like that. So the Vedas. So then he says that, does somebody say that they have seen it themselves and experiences themselves? Or so then he says no. Then he says you have to say it in the correct manner. That this is something which our ancestors have given us. It is an oral tradition. So there is a way of presenting the information. The information, when it is presented, has to be in a kind of a honest manner. This has to be presented. So that is what the preserving of the truth is there. So whatever is presented has to be seen that how it is kind of actually received by the other person. Should cultivate relinquishment. So we should cultivate this aspect of letting go. So all the 6 R's which we are doing are constantly letting go. Every time when we are getting this thing, and there are people who are doing forgiveness also. Forgiveness also is a letting go thing. Okay, we have something comes up in the mind and we let go, let go, let go. It's a constant process of letting go. So that is a cultivation of relinquishment. And should train for peace. and you train for the ultimate peace, which is the peace of mind which you gain in the end. This is the summary of the exposition of the 6 elements. Students, this person consists of 6 elements. So it was said. And with reference to what was this said? There are the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element. So Buddha has talked about elements also in different ways. Sometimes he talks about the 4 elements. Sometimes he talks about the 5 elements. And sometimes he talks about in 6 elements. Over here it is added 2 more elements are there. The space element, okay, and the consciousness element. So he's talking about the 6 elements over here. So it was with reference to this that it was said, student, this person consists of 6 elements. Students, this person consists of 6 bases of contact. So it was said. And with reference to what was this said? There are the base of eye contact, the nose, the base of ear contact, the base of nose contact, the base of tongue contact, the base of body contact, and the base of mind contact. So which is this 6 things which we have. Base of eye contact means is the eye. So it was with reference to this that it was said, student, this person consists of 6 bases of contact. Student, this person consists of 18 kinds of mental exploration. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said? On seeing a form with the eye, one explores a form productive of joy. One explores a form productive of grief. One explores a form productive of equanimity. So whenever we are looking at something, we can have joy or grief, or we be equanimous in that situation. On hearing a sound with the ear, on smelling an odor with the nose, tasting a flavor with the tongue, touching a tangible with the body, on cognizing a mind object with the mind. One explores a mind object productive of joy. One explores a mind object productive of grief. One explores a mind object productive of equanimity. So it was with reference to this that it was said, student, this person consists of 18 kinds of mental exploration. So many times the Buddha is kind of giving this in the sense of the senses and then what is possible, and then there will be, say if he is giving the joy and the grief and the equanimity, then it becomes 6 senses are there, then that becomes 18. Student, this person has 4 foundations. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said? There are the foundation of wisdom, the foundation of truth, the foundation of relinquishment, and the foundation of peace. So it was with reference to this that it was said, students, this person has 4 foundations. One should not neglect wisdom, should preserve truth, should cultivate relinquishment, and should train for peace. So it was said. And with reference to what was this said? How, students, does one not neglect wisdom? There are these 6 elements, the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, the space element, and the consciousness element. What, student, is the earth element? The earth element may be either internal or external. That we had discussed also, that internal or external. What is internal earth element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is solidified and clung to. That is head hair, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, intestines, mesentery, contents of the stomach, feces, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is solidified, and clung to. This is called the internal earth element. Now, both the internal earth element and the external earth element are simply earth element. And that should be seen as it actually is, with proper wisdom. Thus, this is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. When one sees it thus, as it actually is, with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the earth element. and makes the mind dispassionate towards the earth element. So when one sees that whatever is there in me is also there outside. So when a child is a small child, what is happening is the mother eats the food, and then that child grows. And then when the child is small, the mother feeds him milk, but she is also having food, and from that she is feeding. Then she feeds him all the things which is there. So grains or fruits and all these things. But all of them, where are they coming from? They are coming from the earth. There is a light is there, air is there, there is energy is there. All of these things is that when we have that, then that becomes the earth element in our thing. So whatever is there in the earth element outside is we are consuming that earth element. So there is nothing. If the outside it is there, we don't take ownership of it. So one way the Buddha explained is, once they were sitting with some of the students, and then the Buddha said that, see, over here they are clearing out the forest. There is a pile of wood which is there, and they are burning that pile of wood. Do you grieve for it? Do you have sorrow, lamentation, grief for this burning of the wood? So they said no, because but he says that is also earth element, and you also have earth element, but you don't take that personally. That's the reason you don't take that grief, because you don't take ownership of that trash which is burning, or the leaves or twigs with they are burning. Because we are not taking ownership, we don't have any kind of worry about what is that. But when we take ownership, we kind of worry. So whatever is the internal earth element, we take ownership of that, and that is the reason that happens. And what student is the water element? The water element may be either internal or external. What is the internal water element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is water, watery and clung to, that is bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, spittle, snot, oil of the joints, urine, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is water, watery, clung to. That is called the internal water element. Now, both the internal water element and the external water element are simply water element. And that should be seen as it actually is, with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. When one sees it thus, as it actually is, with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the water element and makes the mind dispassionate towards water element. So one should see as it is the water element also, that what is internal and what is external. What student is the fire element? The fire element may be either internal or external. What is the internal fire element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is fire, fiery, clung to. That is that by which one is warmed, ages, and is consumed, and that by which what is eaten, drunk, consumed, and tasted gets completely digested, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is fire, fiery, and clung to. This is called the internal fire element. So, whatever gets consumed by when you eat or consume, how that thing gets digested and becomes heat and all these things, that is called the fire element. Now, both the internal fire element and the external fire element are simply fire element, and that should be seen as it actually is, with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. When one sees it thus as it actually is with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the fire element and makes the mind dispassionate towards the fire element. What student is the air element? Air element may be either internal or external. What is the internal air element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is air, airy and clung to. That is upgoing winds, downgoing winds, winds in the belly, winds in the bowels, winds in the course, through the limbs, in breath and out breath, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is air, airy, and clung to. This is called the internal air element. So one of the interesting thing is upgoing air, downgoing air, sidegoing air, were kind of ways of describing the health also. So some of the disbalances which were mentioned at the time of the Buddha was also mentioned in those kind of terms. So it was maybe some kind of energy or whatever they calculated. But the air was calculated as when there was imbalances, then they would kind of give medicine also. So when Buddha is talking about how people become ill, so there are many reasons they give. So one of the reasons is upgoing, one of the downgoing air, one is going right and one is going left. All this in that. So this is a part of the way they understood health and the body. This is called the internal air element. Now both internal air element and external air element are simply air element, and that should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom. Thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When one sees it thus as it actually is with proper wisdom, as one becomes disenchanted with the air element and makes the mind dispassionate towards the air element. And what, student, is the space element? The space element may be either internal or external. What is internal space element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is spatial and clung to. That is holes of the ears, the nostrils, the doors of the mouth, and that aperture whereby what is eaten, drunk, consumed, and tasted gets swallowed, and where it collects, and thereby it is excreted from below. Or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is spatial, and clung to. This is called the internal space element. Now, both the internal space element and the external space elements are simply space element, and what should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom. Thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When one sees it thus, as it actually is with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the space element and makes the mind dispassionate towards the space element. Then there remains only the consciousness, purified and bright. So over here, consciousness is said to be purified and bright, but one of the things is that consciousness is also dependently originated. So it is not that the consciousness is mentioned as, but its function is very simple. Okay. So there are many philosophies and everything where in Buddhist philosophies also they make a lot about consciousnesses. But when you see in the suttas, it is very functional, which is said. It has a very functional kind of element to it. So there is a note given by Bhikkhu Bodhi. I'll just read that note. This is the sixth element which remains in that it has yet to be expounded by the Buddha and penetrated by Kusati. Here it is explained as the consciousness. This accomplished the work of insight contemplation on the elements under the heading of consciousness. The contemplation of feeling is also introduced. So in this space, the feeling is also introduced over here with that. So then there remains only the consciousness, purified and bright. What does one cognize with that consciousness? One cognizes this is pleasant. One cognizes this is painful. One cognizes this is neither painful nor pleasant. So for the consciousness, the work at the time of contact, there is feeling. When there is feeling, there is a perception and consciousness. So now what is it cognizes? That this is painful. It is cognizing. It is cognizing this is pleasant. It is neither painful nor pleasant. That is the function of the consciousness. In dependence on a contact to be felt as pleasant, there arises a pleasant feeling. When one feels a pleasant feeling, one understands I feel a pleasant feeling. Yes. Vinyan. One understands with the cessation of that same contact to be felt as pleasant, its corresponding feeling, the pleasant feeling that arose in dependence on that contact to be felt as pleasant, ceases and subsides. So now one sees this arising as a causes and conditions. So one sees that based on the conditions it is arising, and ceasing of the conditions it is subsiding. So it is not permanent. So one understands with the cessation of that same contact to be felt as pleasant, its corresponding feeling, the pleasant feeling that arose in dependence on the contact to be felt as pleasant, ceases and subsides. In dependence on a contact to be felt as painful, there arises a painful feeling. When one feels a painful feeling, one understands, I feel a painful feeling. One understands, with the cessation of that same contact to be felt as painful, its corresponding feeling, the painful feeling that arose in dependence on that contact to be felt as painful, ceases and subsides. So this is also dependent. Independent on the contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, there arises a neither painful nor pleasant feeling. When one feels a neither painful nor pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel a neither painful nor pleasant feeling. One understands, with the cessation of that same contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, its corresponding feeling, the neither painful nor pleasant feeling that arose in dependence on that contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, ceases and subsides. Student, just as from the contact and friction of two fire sticks, heat is generated and fire is produced, and with the separation of the and disjunction of these two fire sticks, the corresponding heat ceases and subsides. So too, in dependence on a contact to be felt as pleasant, to be felt as painful, to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, there arises neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So he is saying that when you use this kind of fiction, the two things are required. So this is a cause and effect. But when you take it out and there is no friction, then there is no corresponding heat which is generated. So the corresponding is requiring is dependently originated. So that is what the one other is two kind of stacks of hay which is on one other. So if one is removed, the other is also collapses. Then it cannot stand. That is what we understand. One understands with the cessation of that same contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, its corresponding feeling ceases and subsides. Then there remains only equanimity, purified and bright, malleable. Malleable means it is can be shaped. So one of the things the Buddha said is when you are in fourth jhana, your mind is like like a cup which is full, to the brim. So wherever you tilt, if you tilt over here, the water can go over here. If you tilt over here, the water will go over here. If you tilt over there, the water will go. So wherever you incline your mind, that you can develop. So if you incline your mind to develop psychic powers, then it will develop psychic powers. If you want to go ahead in the meditation, then you will go to the arupa. If you want to kind of incline it to cessation, then it can go to cessation. But it is very kind of malleable and wieldy and radiant. So what happens is the equanimity is a state which is very much where you feel comfortable. Huh?
Would you also say the state is very suggestible? So we have to watch what the mind does.
It is suggestible. You were saying that it can be said as suggestible. So yeah, we have to be careful, but I think we have to be with the teaching. So certain times your inclinations may come up over here. So that depends on what is your inclination in the past. Like there is a stories of all the monks, the Teragata. So all the nuns and the monks. And one of the common themes on them is why did you become a kind of the right hand monk of the Buddha? Yes.
When you're in the fourth jhana, if you don't have any inclination as such, and you're just abiding in an equanimous state, then it is going any direction, isn't it? Or because you don't have an idea in your head as to where you want to go.
No, but there are other suttas where the Buddha says that if you go by the way we are teaching you, say, the way you are teaching, the automatic is the progression goes is in the right direction. Like when he is talking about the eightfold path also. Okay, he says if you have the right view, you will have right intention because you are thinking or looking from the right lens. If you have right intention, your speech will be right. If your speech is right, your actions will be right. If your actions is right, your lifestyle will be right, or livelihood will be right. If that is right, then your practice or efforts will be right. If your efforts are right, your mindfulness will be right, and your collectedness or concentration, that would be right. So one leads to another. So if you are not kind of distracted, then and you just follow the path, then the path will take you. I told you about 7 factors of awakening also. If mindful is that, okay. Okay. So 7 factors of mindfulness also Buddha says is if you have mindfulness, then investigation is there. Then the balance of energy happens. Then the mind has joy. Then there is tranquility is there. And then collectedness of mind comes and equanimity comes. You don't have to wish for it. It happens as it happens automatically.
Does investigation come in the way of the progression?
It can come, but it depends on the context of it. Then there remains only equanimity, purified and bright, malleable, wieldy, and radiant. Suppose students, a skilled goldsmith or his apprentice were to prepare a furnace, heat up the crucible, take some gold with tongs and put it into the crucible. From time to time, he would blow on it. It is kind of giving a kind of idea of the meditation is there, from time to time, he would blow on it. From time to time, he would sprinkle water on it. So sometimes you have to cool yourself down. And from time to time, you would just look on. So sometimes you have to just observe what is happening. You have to have what is happening, let's just be there with it. That gold would become refined, well refined, completely refined, faultless, rid of dross, malleable, wieldy, and radiant. Then, whatever kind of ornament he wished to make from it, whether a golden chain, or earrings, or a necklace, or a golden garland, it would serve his purpose. So too, student. Then there remains only equanimity, purified and bright, malleable, wieldy, and radiant. So we have to always incline our mind towards wisdom, incline our minds towards kind of peace, so relinquishment. So that is what the Buddha is giving. So, but over here the mind is very kind of suggestible, as you said. It is very suggestible. So we have to be kind of wherever we are inclining has to be in a wholesome manner. So over here, certain times you get one of the things I will tell you what happened. It happens to spontaneously. I was talking about inclinations. So there was one lady who had come to this Mahabodhi. So when she did the retreat with me, she could hear some sounds. Then she said that what was happening, I did not know. That, but when I kind of put my kind of effort to say what was the song was, she was hearing the rustling of the grass outside. She was sitting in the dome, in that they have Vipassana dome in that. So she was sitting in that room, but she was able to listen to the grass. Then she said she kind of went home and she started meditating. And then once she thought she was listening to somebody, and then she saw that she was far away. There's a building, and she could figure out that somebody was speaking over there, and she could listen to that person. It was spontaneous. This is the same experience Sister Kema also had. Where she was going cycling, and then she said somebody is talking, and she looked, and across the field, maybe a mile, she said, there were some 2 people next to a tractor standing and talking, and she could clearly hear what they are speaking. So that this can spontaneously happen. So then she kind of continued practice. Then what happened is she could hear anytime anybody spoke about her, she could hear those things. Yeah, she said that somebody in America was kind of criticizing her. She could know that there is something happening. Somebody is criticizing me. And then she said she got very upset with that. And then she said, I don't want that ability. And stopped meditating for some while. And then she started again. Then she came next time to me. And then I said, just don't pay attention to those things. When you are paying attention, that is growing and growing, you know. So then she said, okay, I've given up. I understood that I should not pay attention. And then, or she had mentioned me on a WhatsApp. She messaged me, I think so. And I said that don't pay attention to those things, and then it will let go away on its own. And it went away. She came once again to the Mahabodhi also. So that can happen. That can happen spontaneously. I've heard many of them spontaneously get this hearing thing. There was one other student in Mahabodhi who said that I could hear things happening outside. So these are sometimes mind's inclination. So you have to be careful where you point to it. So if you point to the right direction, then you will continue with your understanding. He understands us. If I were to direct the equanimity so purified and bright to the base of infinite space, so that is what he is directing his mind towards, base of infinite space, and to develop my mind accordingly, then his equanimity of mind, supported by that base, clinging to it, would remain for a very long time. So if he puts his mind towards that, and he can stay in that state. If I were to direct this equanimity so purified and bright to the base of infinite consciousness, to the base of nothingness.
What does he mean by direct to the base of infinite space?
This is saying that if you want to go into a certain, so this is basically an advanced practice.
But is there a practice that you follow an infinite space or something? Or does it happen?
No, it is like if you want to know more about that state. So normally we say that I will not go any higher than this, and you sit with that intention, not going higher than this jhana. And then when you are in that jhana, you continue. So you gain more understanding of that space. That's how Sariputta used to do. In one of the suttas, Ananda is coming and asking Sariputta on the day. So one he comes and says, what did you do in the day? So I say, I spent all the day in the first jhana. Then the second day, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. Then arupa jhana of kind of space and consciousness and nothingness. So he was doing that. Only thing he did not do is neither perception nor non-perception, which is not possible. Because if you walk and you move around, you cannot be in that space, quiet mind. So other than that, all these jhanas he was staying on the whole day to kind of gain more and more understanding. That's the reason he could gain some certain insight into that.
Sorry to ask one more question. When you are in this space of infinite space, whatever, just one big example, you can stay in that as long as possible to be able to explore it deeper.
Yes. But that's
you can also make determinations about how long you wish to stay in. But this is just an additional development. It's not necessary for the development of insight.
But when we do it, we create that intention. Aren't we clinging to it?
Yeah, that's what he said. No, it is clinging to that thing. So it is a way of like. At one point of time, you may need to kind of know more, or you may need to kind of gain more insight. That is the time you only do it. But in the normal course, you don't do it. Only that's the reason when you have done a lot of meditation, and then say certain times you want to experience that space more, then you do that. Or there are certain gaps in your understanding which is there that you want to fill up. So for that you can do, but that is at a later stage in the practice. To the base of nothingness, to the base of neither perception nor non-perception, and to develop my mind accordingly. Then this equanimity of mind, supported by that base, clinging to it, would remain for a very long time. He understands thus. If I were to direct this equanimity to so purified and bright to the base of infinite space, and to develop my mind accordingly, this would be conditioned. Conditioned is because it is based on causes and conditions which is happening. If I were to direct my this equanimity so purified and bright to the base of infinite consciousness, to the base of nothingness, to the base of neither perception nor non-perception, and to develop my mind accordingly, this would be conditioned. He does not form any condition or generate any volition tending towards either being or non-being. So he is developing further. So he says that all these things is also conditioned. So all the mind states, all the jhanic states is also conditioned. So based on conditions, those jhanas arise, and based on the conditions going. So he does not form any condition or generate any volition tending towards either being or non-being. Toward being means I want to be this. I want to be a Brahma, or I want to be a Deva, or I want to be this. He does not. Non-being is also very important, because we always want to negate what is there. I don't want to be this. I don't like what is over here, what is arising over here, what is I am observing over here. I don't. So non-being is also very fundamental. You see, so many people want to kind of unalive themselves. Now that is the new word, no? Unalive themselves. So why is that? Because this is the non-being part. This is the part which is a fundamental thing. So whenever that thought comes, you understand that as just a mind habit, because so fundamental mind habit is to become somebody. I want to become this, I want to become that, and there is also I don't want to be this, I don't want to be this. So all these things is also a part of the basic conditioning, basic habitual tendency. So he does not create any volition. So that may come, the thought may come in your mind, but he is not creating the choice. The choice he is not creating for that. Since he does not form any condition or generate any volition tending towards either being or non-being, he does not cling to anything in this world. Because he is not creating that clinging, then there is nothing which is coming up. When he does not cling, he is not agitated. So he is not holding on to anything, then there is nothing which agitates. When he is not agitated, he personally attains Nibbana. So when he gives up and he is not agitated, then he personally attains it. He understands thus: birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived. What has to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. If he feels a pleasant feeling, he understands it is impermanent. There is no holding to it. There is no delight in it. If he feels a painful feeling, he understands it is impermanent. There is no holding to it. There is no delight in it. If he feels neither painful nor pleasant feeling, he understands it is impermanent. There is no holding to it. There is no delight in it. If he feels a pleasant feeling, he feels it detached. So there is a pleasant feeling, there is a awareness of the pleasant feeling, but there is no attachment. If he feels a painful feeling, he feels it detached. So there can be a painful feeling, but you are not attached to that painful feeling. If he feels a neither painful nor pleasant feeling, he feels it detached. So even in equanimity, the person is detached from that equanimity. When he feels a feeling terminating with the body, he understands, I feel a feeling terminating with the body. The feeling which is there in the body itself, that is the feelings which are there. So this is terminating in the body. When he feels a feeling terminating with life, that is the ending of life feelings which are there. When the life ends, he understands, I feel a feeling terminating with life. He understands, on the dissolution of the body, with the ending of life, all that is felt, not being delighted in, will become cool right here. Student, just as an oil lamp burns in dependence of oil and wick, and when the oil and wick are used up, it does not get any more fuel. It is exhausted from lack of fuel. So too, when he feels a feeling terminating with the body. So now this lamp is given in many places, the kind of simile of the lamp, because that must be very common in the time of the Buddha. So one of the things is, when you have a diya which is there, which is Deepavalika diya, you have the ghee or oil which is there, then there is a wick which is there, then you light the this thing, wick. Now what happens is, first the oil gets exhausted and the wick also burns. So now there is nothing which is there left. But there is one other thing the Buddha is asking in another sutta, is when the diya is there, it is burning, and the oil is exhausted, and the wick burns out. Where does the fire go? Does it go in the west? Does it go in the east? Does it go up? Does it go down? So where does it go? What is the answer for the question? Where does the fire go?
Nowhere. Finishes.
Yes. So
Conditions
that
are not there, no fire.
correct. Conditions are not there for the fire. So the question itself is not valid where the fire goes. So certain times the Buddha is not answering such questions. When the Buddha is asked, where does the Tathagata go? Where does the Arhat go after he parinibbana? So he does not answer that. He says that the conditions are not there now for that. So that is a kind of very powerful thing we have to think about. That based on conditions, everything is there. When conditions are not there, that things are not there. So that is. I feel a feeling terminating with life. He understands on the dissolution of the body with the ending of life, all that is felt not being delighted in will become cool right here. Therefore, a student possessing this wisdom possesses the supreme foundation of wisdom. For this student is the supreme noble wisdom, namely the knowledge of the destruction of all suffering. So the Buddha always teaches about suffering and destruction of all suffering. His deliverance being founded upon truth is unshakable. For that is false student, which has a deceptive nature, and that is true, which has an undeceptive nature, nibbana. Therefore, a student possessing this truth possesses the supreme foundation of truth. For this student is the supreme noble truth, namely nibbana, which has an undeceptive nature. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he undertook and accepted acquisitions. So when you don't know, when you are ignorant, then you want to acquire things. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them, so that they no longer subject to future arising. Therefore, a student possessing this relinquishment possesses the supreme foundation of relinquishment. For this student is the supreme noble relinquishment, namely the relinquishment of all acquisitions. All me, mine, myself, all of them you let go. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he experienced covetousness, desire, and lust. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them, so that they are no longer subject to future arising. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he experienced anger, ill will, and hate. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them, so that they are no longer subject to future arising. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he experienced ignorance and delusion. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them, so that they are no longer subject to future arising. Therefore, a student possessing this peace possesses the supreme foundation of peace. So that's the supreme peace which when you let go, then that is a supreme peace. For this student is the supreme noble peace, namely the pacification of lust, hate, and delusion. So that is the ultimate. So wanting, I like it, I don't like it, and this is mine. That is the mindset he has given up. So it was with reference to this that it was said, one should not neglect wisdom, should preserve truth, should cultivate relinquishment, and should train for peace. The tides of conceiving do not sweep over one who stands upon these foundations. And when the tides of conceiving no longer sweep over him, he is called a sage at peace. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said. Students, I am is a conceiving. I am this is a conceiving. I shall be is a conceiving. I shall not be is a conceiving. I shall be possessed of form is a conceiving. I shall be formless is a conceiving. I shall be percipient is a conceiving. I shall be non-percipient is a conceiving. I shall be neither percipient nor non-percipient. That is conscious, which is that neither kind of like neither perception nor non-perception. So that is neither percipient nor non-percipient is a conceiving. Conceiving is a disease. Conceiving is a tumor. Conceiving is a dart. So it is considered is a tumor because it grows, no? Like prapancha sanya sankhara, it grows. When you are thinking, it grows. So it is a tumor. It is a dart. By overcoming all conceivings, student, one is called a sage at peace. And the sage at peace is not born, does not age, does not die. He is not shaken and does not yarn. For there is nothing present in him by which he might be born. Not being born, how could he age? Not aging, how could he die? Not dying, how could he be shaken? Not being shaken, why should he yarn? So it was with reference to this that it was said, the tides of conceiving do not sweep over one who stands upon these foundations. And when the tides of conceiving no longer sweep over him, he is called a sage at peace. Student, bear in mind this brief exposition of the six elements. Thereupon the Venerable Putrasati thought, indeed the teacher has come to me, the sublime one has come to me, the fully enlightened one has come to me. Then he rose from his seat, arranged his upper robe over his one shoulder, and prostrating himself with his head at the Blessed One's feet, he said, Venerable Sir, a transgression overcome me, in that, like a fool, confused and blundering, I presume to address the Blessed One as friend. So he addressed the Buddha as friend. So he was feeling bad about that. Venerable Sir, may the Blessed One forgive my transgression, seen as such for the sake of restraint in the future. So this is the same formula a monk uses also. When a monk does something which is considered breaking the rules, then he will go to another monk and confess that I have done a transgression seen as such, means I have seen it as a transgression, and for the saints of, for the sake of restraint in the future, and I will ensure that in the future I will not do. So the anytime that is some lapse has happened, so there are different classes of these things. So one of those major kind of transgressions of a monk's rules are in this category where confession is done. Surely, student, a transgression overcome you, in that, like a fool confused and blundering, you presume to address me as a friend. But since you see your transgression as such and make amends in accordance with the Dhamma, we forgive you. For it is growth in the noble one's discipline. When one sees one's transgressions as such, makes amends in accordance with the Dhamma, and undertakes the restraints in the future. So every time you also sometimes you figure out that you have broken a precept, and you kind of self-correct. Then you can take a precept on your own. And one of the things Sister Kema did once was that she said that you could also have a kind of precepts buddy. So you can have a precept buddy, and then if you break a precept, you call him then and kind of say, confess that I have broken the precepts, and in the future I will ensure that I will keep. So that is also something possible.
What is the word for transgression?
Transgression. That is a galti. Transgression. Transgression.
Why is the Buddha called blessed one? Very basic question.
So there, see, Buddha is called different names, but I am not sure exactly. Do you know? Because because he is also called Tathagata. There is a lot of kind of philosophical talk about Tathagata. Tathagata is sometimes translated as thus come, or once there is one other translate thus gone. So thus come or thus gone. Thus gone is like that whatever was greed, hatred, and delusion has gone. Thus or thus come is he is kind of referring to himself. The Tathagata is he has thus come. So that so there are many ways he refers to himself, and some others who refer. So they were maybe being respectful by saying blessed one. You have any?
I don't really have anything to add to that. But the Tathagata, I don't think is uniquely Buddhist. I think that's a term
Okay.
that could be in other sects as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Pali word for conceiving?
Conceiving, I'll have to figure out.
What is the word here?
This is conceiving over here.
I probably can find it in a moment. Let's just go and have that.
We can check. We can check with this Sutta Central. Sutta Central has Sujata's translation can be seen with Pali and English translation. Both you can see. The Pali is
That
there.
word was used here.
Huh.
Am I getting the wrong word?
I think
I'm just checking to see if it's mentioned in the notes.
in the notes he is checking.
Yeah, yeah. Please continue and I'll.
Okay. Venerable Sir, I would receive the full admission under the Blessed One. So he is asking for permission to become a fully ordained monk. Venerable Sir, but are your bowl and robes complete? So bowls and robes is monk when is there is an kind of lower robe is there. Manya sa manya Manyanusava. Manyanusava, conceived. Manyana, I think maybe based on the thinking.
Sava is from Asava.
Huh?
Sava is from Asava.
Asava.
No, anything that comes out is an asana. Excrement or anything that's given birth, anything that comes out is asana.
Okay.
At least in Sanskrit, that's what
Okay. So
Mind created.
mind created.
yeah,
Mana,
it's not mana. It's manual.
Manyana Sava.
Yeah.
Manyanu Sava.
Manuna Sava.
One year.
use the word name money.
Yes. Manuno Sava. It's okay.
But are your bowl and robes complete? So a monk has to have three robes, which is one is called lower robe, one is the upper robe, and one is a double robe, which is there. So that three kind of robes have to be ready. So maybe he had a robe, but I think we did not have the robes as per the Vinaya, which is there, and he has to have a bowl. So then one of the things Bante says that in the earlier days when the Buddha was ordaining, he would say, "Come here, monk," and that based on that, the person would be ordained. And Bhante used to say that if you have given a bowl and robe to as a to the sangha anytime in your previous life, then the bowl and robe would appear at the time. But he had to kind of go and arrange for it because maybe he did not have that karmic thing about having the bowl and robe. So then he had to go. Student, Tathagatas do not give the full admission to anyone whose bowl and robes are not complete. Then the Venerable Pukusati, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's word, rose from his seat and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on his right, he departed in order to search for a bowl and robes. Then while the Venerable Pukusati was searching for a bowl and robe, a stray cow killed him. So unfortunately, what happened is, when he was kind of searching, he kind of passed away.
In another sutta also, Bhaya Sutta, the bull hits him and he dies.
Ha Bhaya Sutta, correct. So that time also the same way. Then a number of students went to the Blessed One and after paying homage to him, sat down at one side and told him, Venerable Sir, the clansman Pukosati, who was given brief instructions by the Blessed One, has died. What is his destination? What is his future outcome? Students, the clansman Pukosati was wise. He practiced in accordance with the Dhamma and did not trouble me in the interpretation of the Dhamma. With the destruction of the five lower fetters, the clansman Pukosati has reappeared spontaneously in the pure abodes and will attain final Nibbana there without ever returning from that world. So it was very fruitful for him. So in the one night itself, while the Buddha was giving him the teaching, he let go of the attachment. And then he was an anagami, non-returner. So he is reborn in the Buddha, Brahmaloka. That is, there is 5 pure abodes are there. So one of the abodes he was born. This is what the Blessed One said. The students were delighted, satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So this has a lot of kind of information in that sense, but it is basically saying that you should see everything as impersonal and let go. Everything. Yes.
This piece where he talks about equanimity being molded into various
Wieldy.
he never talks about equanimity going away.
Never talks of
Equanimity also going away, or equanimity also ceasing to exist.
Yeah, he says no, everything is impermanent. It is cause and condition creates equanimity also. Before that, we talked about why neither perception or non-perception comes because of conditions and goes away with conditions. So before that, we have kind of mentioned that. So I can reread that thing.
The same gold thing he says, right? It's actually how they put it in Advaita also. Basically, they say consciousness molded into whatever is that, but and
well, you can think of that as, because the consciousness here is the Kanda Vijnana. It's the consciousness of the Khandas.
I feel it's language, but the consciousness of Advaita almost feels like equanimity here. Okay.
So the consciousness changes according to either the sense door or whether it's rupa or Vedana, body, feeling, perception, volitional tendencies, or so the consciousness changes according to what it's consciousness of. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness. So consciousness is constantly reshaping itself according to the input.
It only arises dependent on cause and condition.
So I just read this part only. In dependence on a contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, there arises a neither painful nor pleasant feeling. When one feels a neither painful nor pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel a neither painful nor pleasant feeling. One understands. With the cessation of that same contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, its corresponding feeling, the neither painful nor pleasant feeling that arose in dependence on that contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, ceases and subsides. So he's saying that this is impermanent.
Somewhere further down, he says that only equanimity remains.
Yeah, but that is also impermanent. No, it remains, but it is not permanent. So everything is impermanent. So when you are taking away this and this, see, if I take away one thing and I have this thing which remains, then I can say only this black box remains on the table. That does not mean it will remain forever.
I have a basic question. Suttas, in a way, what are they? Who has written them?
See, basically, Buddha has given this discourses. So now when it is starting with thus have I heard, means this has been memorized by Ananda. So Ananda is nowhere in this sutta, but there was a agreement with Ananda and Buddha. Buddha said, whenever I give a discourse, when you are not there, when you come, I'll repeat it to you. And Ananda had an eidetic memory. So whatever he heard once, he would remember forever. So those kind of are preserved in that sense. So after Buddha passed away, there were 500 arahants who met. And then they kind of recited the suttas and the rules which was there. Then they kind of created their specific chapters in that sense. So in the time of the Buddha itself, there are some chapters which was there, which is mentioned in the suttas itself. So there is one Sutta Nipatta which is there. So one of those monks comes, a young monk comes, and they praise him that this young monk, he has memorized the Sutta Nipatta. So as Hugh kind of pointed out that Pukisati had never met the Buddha, but he had heard the teachings. So there, in some form, the memorization and recitation was already going on at the time of the Buddha. So when Buddha passed away, they formalized it in the sense this chapter, this book which is there, which is Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length. Then he talked about all the kind of long suttas, Digha Nikaya, based on numerical, Anguttara Nikaya, based on subjects, Samyutta Nikaya, then Kudaka Nikaya, which is all the miscellaneous. So all those suttas were kind of bunched up and made into books. And later on, there was also an Abhidhamma which was added to these things, and then it became Tipitaka. So this is, huh?
So was it an oral tradition for a long time until, I guess,
Yes.
very later when
For almost 400 years.
Correct. 400, about 400.
Almost 400 years. Just
400 years
Vedas.
after Buddha said it continued to be an oral tradition, after which it was like in text form.
Yes.
And oral traditions are more accurate than written traditions. Because if you make one transcription error in a written tradition, that then continues all the way down anything that's based on that transcription. Yeah. And do you want to talk about the Burmese?
So Bante used to talk about when Bante spent a lot of time in Burma. So they still have that oral tradition going on over there. So they have they kind of have a 1 month long examination, and you can only make 3 mistakes. If you made the 3rd mistake, the examination ends. So they start with this kind of book, and they start with a random page and say that read this sutta, from this. So they will read a line, and then they will have to complete the sutta. Then they'll say stop. Okay, then they'll open randomly something else and say from this sutta, read from this line, and they'll start reading one line, and then they have to. So they,
Specific people,
huh?
not everyone.
Yes.
It's very
This is not a cause of conviction for enlightenment.
it can be because memory is a recall. So Buddha also kind of plays memory because you have it in your tips. Because one of the things Bhante was confused about was the Kanika Samadhi and all the other type of kind of concentration. So he asked one of those Vibhamsa, I think so. Vibhamsa, the title is there. So he asked one of the persons and said, is there Kanika Samadhi anywhere in the Tipitaka mentioned? He said, no, it has not been mentioned in any of them. So that time it is much faster than any kind of AI or research. Because
What about in Sri Lanka? Is there still oral tradition?
but there is some Sri Lankan traditions who preserve the teachings. There is, I think,
Preserve the
monastery.
teaching and writing. In fact, they were among the first to actually put it down on. But is this Burma thing also there?
I have not heard about it, but I would be surprised if it is not there also. If there are not a couple of monks who have kind of memorized it, I would be surprised if there is zero. We have to check with them because the place where I stay, they are more like city monks. They want to do more of this chanting and all this stuff, social work. The temple, they will keep on improving the temple. It was a kind of just a forest over there, and now there is this beautiful temple they have made. And they keep improving that also. Every year something they add. They keep doing a good work in that sense. They have a social. Tibetans are coming in Sri Lanka also. There are Chinese also. They are coming Chinese.
This oral tradition is not there among the
Tibetan is completely different because they are kind of mixing. I think three of the things.
Yeah.
The Tibetan has their own religion. I think one religion. Then they have Tantra, and then the Suttas. They kind of have some mixture of it. I was following one of the Tibetan nuns. She had a very kind of nice way of explaining karma and all these things. So they have some good kind of schools which kind of talk about these things, and some of the like there is another nun who talks about mettā meditation. Huh? I think.
that Sharon.
No. I think Vema. I think maybe that. And there is one
Jetsuma?
Jetsuma. Jetsuma. I had a kind of a privilege of meeting her in Deer Park. She had a program, and that same day I was coming. So I met her briefly, and we had to kind of inaugurate something which was there. So then they called me also, and I was so exhausted I could not go in her question answer session. They had invited me there, but I was saying I'm so exhausted I cannot stand also. Because I was traveling from Sri Lanka, then I was awake the whole night, and then the flight was at 6 a.m. and then when I came, I was really kind of wanted to be there, but I just could not even stay for any. But anyways, maybe I'll get another chance. Sarah kind of follows her.
Yeah. We've met her before and stuff. Yeah.
So there are many which are, I think, there, but I don't think there are. It depends on the tradition and the school and the individual that can kind of vary about that.
With the availability of reading and ability to read, our ability to memorize and keep things have also gone down.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that with the Vedic, for instance, there are certain Brahmin gotras which are assigned to specific Vedas. And there was a time when all the young boys were sent to memorize the Veda, because my father comes from the Samaveda line. So with my father it stopped. I don't think anybody ever memorized it. But it requires about 12 to 15 years of practice to memorize the entire Veda. They start when they are 7 or 8 and they go on.
Now they are written.
No, they're all written, but in spite of that, the recitation is there. Like if there is a ceremony, then they all recite, and you just sometimes completely dumbstruck as to how they can recite. For hours they will recite.
One of the advantages Buddha says about memory is that recall is there. When recall is there, contemplation can happen. And you contemplating certain quarter, but there the Buddha said this, and then certain times reading widely is helpful. So I always kind of recommend read in sequence, because there are certain suttas that way nobody may have mentioned it, but there may be small information, just the headings in, you see, or you read about the kind of the footnote. The footnote also has a lot of information. One footnote, I read this footnote just now, which was that everybody was satisfied and delighted in the Buddha's words. So then there is one footnote where they did not delight in the and they were not satisfied with the Buddha's word. And then there is one where it says they neither satisfied nor they neither approved nor disapproved. He bowed down to the Buddha and went. So there are different ways. So that just reading the footnote can give us that there is a kind of a flavor to the footnote also. This is not just a standard thing. Certain footnotes they say that as if a blind is shown the road, or in the darkness the lamp is there. What was overturned has been turned up, which is given, but not in certain it has not been given that description. Certain description they say that they become arahants, so many, but certain in many of them they are not been mentioned. So it is all kind of footnotes. So there is a kind of feeling that there is a very variedness. So when you read it in sequence, you see those kind of small points you gain. So I think I would always recommend to read and as much as in sequence. So then you will be able to get those kind of small details. Yes.
So with this sutta, one thing I noticed is that in the beginning it starts out very funnily with the Buddha going, "Well, would you know what he looked like?" And he goes, "You don't know." But I just like that part because it kind of shows to me a sense of humor. But anyways, important point is that yes, like where is the Buddha now? And he says, "Oh, he's in Savatthi," and this isn't true. In front of him. Then the rest of the sutta is this part on safeguarding the truth. And it seems to me like he's directing that teaching towards this tendency. Here, you made a very innocent but an assumption, right? Here you are, you're a monk, you're meditating very well, but look, you're still making an assumption. And it seems to me this is speaking to that. Look at what's real, look at what's right there in front of you. Look at the things arising and passing. You can take that as your truth. Don't have all of these, some of us, right? These assumptions about the way things are. Really look at what's happening around.
I think there is one sutta which Bhante used to 90 something, I think, in the Majjhima Nikaya, which is about preserving truth. And one of the professor was there in the retreat, and he said, "This is the same thing which we do in our kind of class about preserving the truth. You see and say what is there, just say what is the truth. Don't kind of make up things or kind of assume." Like which you kind of mentioned. So there is a whole process of the Buddha is giving of how to kind of preserve the truth. Now you have to be precise in how you are kind of representing. So it's a kind of a skill in that sense.
One more question I have, not related to Sutta, but yesterday you said that listening to that Sutta, in a reading, some 60 became Arihant. So is Arihant the process of how there are finite number of Arihants and they get made?
No, there's no number. It is, there's no quota system. But it is just a giving up, which is there mentioned over here, just a giving up of that attachment which is there. So we mean to be in the samsara because of our attachments, which is there. We want to become something. So or we don't want to become. So that is an annihilation also. The to become is also there. The annihilate what is there is also kind of a kind of mind. This thing. Then between that is knowing. When you know, then you kind of be knowledgeable. So when you have knowledge and vision, then you can say that you will not accept. That is a poison and medicine example the Buddha gives. If you know what is poison, you will not knowingly consume it. So you will go for the this thing of letting go of that poison. When you let go of that thing, that state of mind is the state of mind of somebody who has given up. And then that is to be named something. So that is named as a arahant.
That's a stage, subjective kind of a stage.
Stage of understanding, we can say. So there is a 10 fetters. So when you are a sotapanna, you are giving up three things. One is the doubt in the practice. So you know that if you do this, you will continue to gain more and more insight. Second thing you give up is the belief in rites and rituals, which will change your mind. Rites and rituals have a place of their own, but rites and ritual leading to change of mind and change of perspective, that is let go of. Saying that by doing rites and rituals, I'll become awakened. That concept goes away from you. Then you get insight into the impersonal nature. You see things happening, arising on its own, going on its own. Then you say, oh, there is something which is not controlled by me. Or you see the body and you say, oh yes, really I don't have any control on the body. It arises and it was here without my consent and it will go away without my consent. So I cannot say this is me, So then that way you get an insight about that. Then later on what happens is lust and aversion you weaken. When you weaken this lust and aversion, then you are in another stage of understanding. So when you are in that understanding, you can kind of be reborn just once. That is called a once returner. Then you give up lust and aversion also. Then you are an anagami. That is a non-returner. Like Ukusati, because of some reason he died. There was many karmic reasons for that. So he went to the heavenly abodes, and then there he will become arahant based on how much attachment it is there. Then there are some 5 things which are very like some craving for the earthly things. So becoming something in the earth, becoming a kind of a psychic power with psychic power somebody. Also that can also be a kind of attachment which is there. Something you want to become in the Deva realms, which is like he has a kind of desire to become Brahma or in coming the Brahma realm. That could be the desire. Then there is restlessness is there. Then there is conceit. Conceit is a very fine holding on to things. I am an anagami also kind of conceit. That I am an anagami. So there is a conceit which is there. Now the last thing is the ignorance. So all this are very subtle things. And it is interesting because I find it interesting. There are many suttas where they mention when does the anagami become an arahant. So many other suttas I saw in different ways it has been mentioned, but the comprehensive one is the person can become, if he is an anagami, he can become on a deathbed. So that bed is there, even if he is a lay person, he is on the deathbed. And in 7 days, within 7 days of his death, he can let go and become. So one of them was Buddha's father, Suttadana. And then one other is mentioned in one of the suttas in here. Then there is a time at the time of death or during the process of death, at the kind of end of death, or in the in between. Your consciousness has left the body but not reached the Brahmaloka. Between that, you can let go. Or when you touch the Brahmaloka, you let go. Or a short time in Brahmaloka, or a middle amount of time, or a long time in Brahmaloka. Long time would mean that you go to the 5 Brahmalokas from one after another and from there. And that could mean maybe billions of years after that. But it's a very pleasant, that billion years will not feel like anything. Because it's a very pleasant space over there. So that progressively, how much attachment you have, that time you will let go of that remaining.
But even for the external senses, we said this is me, or the
This is not me.
or the processation. How do I relate to order, taste?
So see, if I see this, I see this. I know it is very easy for me to say this is not me, no?
Yes, but I'm talking about the opposite of it. When there is suffering, there's taste and associated with me. Odor or taste, I mean, the very fact that my sense comes in contact with external.
Can I make a suggestion here? Have you ever salivated at the idea of eating something? Well, this is an external expected.
Already contact in such, there is already a feeling in the craving.
Yes, but it's based on an external object. You're looking at something and you've started to salivate. It's not something that's so you're already externally referencing. But one of the areas of external also is seeing it in others. So seeing it playing out in others is also a very valid way of recognizing this dependency that we have and this attachment we have. So we might see certain behavior and recognize that, because it again prompts us to recognize it within ourselves. Yes?
Just in terms of an odor being taken as myself, you can detect it. Oh, okay, that's my smell, right? That's another way. It doesn't necessarily mean that for everything, but for certain things.
On the same way, let us say that I'm smelling.
A little louder, please. I can't hear you.
I'm not smelling my first when I'm not associating, but I might like all this. I can find it present or unpleasant. So how do I associate that as mine or not mine?
Because your like and dislike, you say I like or I don't dislike. There is.
That comes later in the origination of contact. When that odor exists.
So you know that whatever odor is existing, which is outside of you, is not which is mine or myself. You can think of that. But some certain things which are there, like my car, it's a physical object which is there, but you say that this is my car. One of the Osho's stories which was there was said that he knew about a Harvard professor. He took a Ferrari or something like that after a long time. He was 40 plus. He was still kind of living with his mother, and but he bought a Ferrari. And then what happened was there was a scratch which he had, and he was crying in his mother's arm because that scratch came on the Ferrari. So he said it was not the scratch on the Ferrari; it was the scratch on his own psyche, which had happened. So because he took the Ferrari as himself, and when the Ferrari was damaged, he himself got damaged, because that is the kind of association as self which is there, which is external. But when you can look with the Buddha's perspective, then you say, okay, this is impermanent, or this is something which is that this is not me, this is not mine. So that time, that in that perspective, what would happen is you would kind of dissociate with it. There may be pain which is coming, but it is experienced with a distance. And that understanding kind of stops us from going into a very deep kind of alleys. Normally, I remember I would be angry about something for a month or so, and that would keep on coming, and I should have told this, and I should have done this and that, and that could just carry on. And I now know something has happened. I can become angry. I just as the kind of flash anger I have still. I can see my mind will just brightly kind of flash up, but I can let go of that. And that is what the thing is, that my habitual tendency has not gone away, but I have been able to kind of see what is arising and let go. Certain times, one of this, you are very calm. Actually, you are not seen me in real life. I was known for my short temper when I was working. So that happens, that change which is there, because you can see yourself and let go.
There was this feeling of the ending of life. This is the first time I ever heard about this feeling, because I've heard about the present, the unpleasant, the painful, the neither painful.
So this is just when a person is passing away, he knows that I am passing away. So this is the kind of the, like Buddha consciously kind of went into parinibbana. So that time you have that consciousness, that this feeling which is there, which ends in life. So you are conscious about that things. When an arahant is there, and he is aware of the functioning of these things.
Same as the other pains, the pleasant feelings, the unpleasant feelings, neither painful nor pleasant. Same way these feelings also he understands with this consciousness.
But he is saying that what is the kind of the ending of this, like it ends in the body or it ends in life. So ending in life is this is maybe the feeling which kind of takes away life. But it is just a function. Parinibbana, like you explained once, it is Nibbana is considered to be giving up of all which is the hate, the lust, aversion, and delusion. Parinibbana is a process of giving up the what remains, which is of the body. When the body's functionality goes, it is not there. Buddha got poisoned, and he knew it was a poison, but there is a reason for the body to end also. So he consumed. When he consumed the food, he said, "Just bury this whatever remains. Nobody will have this dish." And then he said, "Tell him don't be grieving because of his food I passed away, because the last meal is also having a lot of merit. So he will get a lot of merit. The first meal time after he kind of leaves his this thing." Ascetic practices, that is very giving a lot of merit. Then after the first time, after he gains nibbana, that meal is considered very meritorious, which is two Burmese travelers gave him. And the last meal which somebody gives the Buddha before he passes away is very meritorious. So he said, don't grieve, because this is will give you a lot of merit. This was in Kushinara, no? Kushinara. So Buddha said that once there was a very great city over there, that place which was there. So he was traveling. So then he had this meal and he traveled further, and then he fell asleep, sick. And he said, okay, we'll stop over here. This is the place. So he knew 6 months ago that this is the time. So one of the grief counselors was there when my mother kind of was passing away. She was a spiritual person. So she was talking about a body also kind of unwinds. It is not a sudden thing. That's the reason in suttas also we find that accident is not considered to be a pleasant kind of end. So when a body is naturally going, it takes some time. It takes some time to kind of let go of this attachment. So that process he went through. Buddha also, it is very clearly mentioned in the Parinibbana Sutta. It's in Digha Nikaya. That whole process of his kind of letting go of his kind of hold on this things, and then it takes some time for his kind of, and then it takes a poison also on top of it as a reason. The body has to kind of stop working, and then he passes away.
How old was
80, no? 80.
80, yeah. That's a very powerful sutta.
Parinibbana Sutta. A lot of it.
How old was the Buddha when he got enlightened?
35.
25
35.
when he got enlightened, and then when he died?
80.
80. 80. 45 years he taught.
Oh, he got 80 is unusual for that time, right?
No, it was that time Buddha said that 100 is the age, and if you live beyond 100 also, you are surely counting your days. That is what.
Right. But according to human history, until very recently, the
People
average.
used to die early. So early death were very common. Mortality, child mortality, within 15 years, people used to die a lot. Whoever used to remain, they used to have extended.
Lifespan is
So
so the people who survived, the average was less, but the people who survived and one of the interesting sutta, there is one of the sutta, there is one person who is a monk. If I remember correctly, it is 80 years. At the age of 80 years, he became a monk, and he remained a monk for 80. So he was there till 160. And then when he thought that I'm going to pass away, he said, I have never given anybody trouble. So he never got sick for the 80 years. So 160, he was 160, but he never got sick. Then he said, okay, if I want to go, then I don't want to trouble my fellow monks. So then he called everybody. This is my last day. I'm sitting in meditation. He sat in meditation, and he sat in meditation on the element of fire. And then he burnt up, and there was no ashes also left. So there is nothing to do for the monks to kind of work, burn him, collect the wood, and all these things. So he said, I don't want to give anybody trouble. I'm just going. And he went like that. Signing on.
Near Bangalore, the Sri Lanka Swamiji passed away 7 years ago. He was 140. And like, I had met just 2 months or 3 months. We intentionally went there because my mom said he's 112, he's 130. Everybody was today.
Yeah, there is a lot of talk about the monks who were staying many hundreds of years and all these things. That's there. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Very good. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensations. 44, now we will do 44 and 43.